guys, welcome to our channel. Today we're going to be doing a Bible study, and today's Bible study is coming from 2 Corinthians chapter 9 verses 6 through 15. So what we normally do with our Bible studies is we just read through those scriptures and then we break it down and talk about it. So that's how we're going to do this one as well. So let's just get into it.
This one is titled The Cheerful Giver. The point is this: whoever sows sparingly will also reap sparingly, and whoever sows bountifully will also reap bountifully. Each one must give as he has decided in his heart, not reluctantly or under compulsion. For God loves a cheerful giver, and God is able to make all grace abound to you, so that having all sufficiency in all things at all times may abound in every good work. As it is written, He has distributed freely, He has given to the poor, His righteousness endures forever. He who supplies seed to the sower and bread for food will supply and multiply your seed for sowing and increase the harvest of your righteousness. You will be enriched in every way to be generous in every way, which through us will produce thanksgiving to God. For the ministry of this service is not only supplying the needs of the saints, but is also overflowing in many thanksgivings to God. By their approval of His service, they will glorify God because of your submission that comes from your confession of the gospel of Christ and the generosity of your contribution for them and for all others. While they long for you and pray for you because of the surpassing grace of God upon you. Thanks be to God for His inexpressible gift.
Okay, so to start off, this is just Paul encouraging the Corinthian believers to give generously to the collection for poor Jewish Christians in Judea.
So this is all about generosity and joy and all for the glory of God.
I'm going to read 6 and 7 and we'll talk more about that in detail. The point to this: whoever sows sparingly will also reap sparingly, and whoever sows bountifully will also reap bountifully. Each one must give as he has decided in his heart, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver.
So in verses 9-6, Paul expands a well-known proverb: you reap what you sow. God does not command Christians to give a certain amount, but He provides opportunities to give generously. Those who sow generously will also reap bountifully, in terms of bearing fruit for God's kingdom and in other ways as well.
So that was the commentary. That's not our thoughts on it or anything. That's what the commentary in my study Bible says.
And verse 8 says, And God is able to make all grace abound to you, so that having all sufficiency in all things at all times, you may abound in every good work.
The gracious giving of a believer reflects God's gracious giving to us. And God delights in this because it shows our thankfulness to Him. And that's as long as the giving is done with the right heart and the glory is going to God. Verse 9 says, As it is written, He has distributed freely, He has given to the poor, His righteousness endures forever.
So verse 9 is a quote from Psalms 112, verse 9. And it's just stressing the point that all good works endure forever, because they originate from the good work of God. Verse 10 says, He who supplies seed to the sower and bread for food will supply and multiply your seed for sowing and increase the harvest of your righteousness.
Well, on that one, we're going to also read the commentary. It says, the promise that God will increase the harvest should not be understood in material terms, but in terms of increasing your righteousness. God's promise is that He will use His people and their resources as instruments of His grace for the salvation of others. Verse 11 says, You will be enriched in every way to be generous in every way, which through us will produce thanksgiving to God.
So God provides the needs of believers, and in this case it's to the Corinthians, so that they can overflow onto the needs of others. Verses 12 through 14 say, For the ministry of this service is not only supplying the needs of the saints, but is also overflowing in many thanksgivings to God. By their approval of this service, they will glorify God because of your submission that comes from your confession of the gospel of Christ and the generosity of your contribution for them and for all others, while they long for you and pray for you because of the surpassing grace of God upon you.
So when we as believers give generously and express that God is the reason for our giving, it opens the door to share the gospel with others. Also, this can cause others to be thankful to God and give thankfulness to Him because they see the work of God's grace through believers. Like Mariah said a while ago, he's speaking to the Corinthians in this case, but that definitely still applies to believers to this day. Verse 15 says, "Thanks be to God for His inexpressible gift."
So like we mentioned in the beginning of this study, when we give generously, it reflects the undescribable gift that God has given us.
So kind of my reflection on this was kind of just brought to my mind that God didn't even spare His own Son so that we could have salvation. Like, He gave His own Son for our salvation. If that's not a good example of what gracious giving is, then I don't know what would be. And so as believers, we are to follow that example of gracious giving.
So being a cheerful giver will create joy in your heart, help others, and will bring honor and praise to God.
Okay, so that's it for this Bible study. We hope you guys enjoyed it, and we hope that you come back for more Bible studies with us. We post Bible studies every Monday morning, usually in the morning if I'm not running behind, but normally in the morning. And then we also post videos on Wednesdays and Fridays. Wednesdays are faith-based videos. Right now, this will actually be the last week. We are going through a book called What If God Wrote Your Bucket List by J. Paliatner. And that is the author's idea of what God would put on our bucket list if He was making it for us. And so it's been a pretty interesting book. We're on week 52, so this week's will be the last one of those. And then we're going to start another series, probably out of another book. We haven't quite decided yet, so
stay tuned.
Yeah, so stay tuned. And then on Fridays, it's just some sort of fun, lighthearted video, usually stuff that we're interested in, like makeup, fashion, food, anything like that.
So if you guys do enjoy our videos, be sure to like and subscribe to our channel. And if you want to be notified when we upload, be sure to hit the little bell after you subscribe.
We hope you guys have a good day, have a good week, and don't forget to shine.
Bye!